Round 2. Fight! Test your might.
Hi guys, welcome to my second installment of Artist Hacks. If you missed round
1.
If you missed round 1, make sure you stick around to the very end of this video and I will leave the link for you in the end screen. Let's get started. Number 1. Right off the bat, let's get started with something super simple. Made a mistake on a drawing? Here's your chance to fix it. Don't have a light box, but you want to transfer something, do a tracing? All you need is a window and a nicely lit day. Simply tape a piece of paper over your reference and onto a window. The light will come in through the window, through your reference, and through your paper, allowing you the same effect a light box would give you. Or if it's dark outside, use a glass tabletop, put a lamp underneath the glass, and it will work also as a light box. Number 2. In my last Artist Hacks video, I made the recommendation of using the fibers from your clothing to dull the adhesiveness of your painter's tape if you are taping off your edges. But as an alternative to that, use your tape normally, no fibers required, and then use a hairdryer afterwards to remove the tape. The heat will break the adhesiveness and you'll be able to take it off without ripping your paper. Number 3. If you've been here, well, you know I'm a huge advocate for using a reference photo. Use a reference photo! In my last Artist Hacks video, I talked about the importance of using them to learn about form, but since that video, I've incorporated them in a different way. By printing my reference photos, I have a great basis to match my colors. Since using this method of printing out my reference photo and comparing the colors side by side, my photos have become much more natural and photorealistic. Even if you're not a fan of photorealism, this is a really great method to just practice or do studies. Our minds are very easily deceived about what a color looks like depending on what its surroundings are. This can lead to color distortion and illusion. By having experiences mixing your color and matching it side by side on top of a photo reference, you're able to get a better idea of how to really academically look at the colors in your references. Number 4. I had never heard of this tool before. It's called a Prospek, or proportional dividing tool. Having a printed reference photo is great when you're replicating a photo exactly and in the same scale, but if you want to increase that scale and make a drawing or painting that's much larger than your reference photo, this tool will help you a ton. Of course, you can always do standard methods of gridding or freehanding, but that's why this tool is kind of a hack. And honestly, I don't know how to explain this very well, so I'm gonna let some video work do the talking for me. Number 5. So what can you do if you don't have a canvas on hand or can't afford one? There's a lot of really great alternatives to a traditional canvas. In my last video, I really hyped up talking about MDF board, a particle board that when you prime it with acrylic or gesso, sand it after it dries, prime it again, sand it down, can lead you to a very smooth painting surface. But on top of that, I have a few more options. Number 1, canvas board. Canvas board is similar to canvas in terms of its texture, but it comes on a flat surface and it doesn't have all the bounce of a normal canvas. If you don't have canvas board though, a really similar alternative is actually a hardcover book. If you have any old books lying around your house, just peel off that paper copy on top of it, and what's left underneath is pretty much a canvas board. Like a canvas, you're probably still going to want to do some priming on that surface with acrylic or gesso. Everyone asks what I use in my recent videos where I'm working on a sketchbook. I use the Canson, I think it's Canson, XL Mixed Media. It has a 98-pound paper, so it's a bit thicker and it works with painting. You can of course do this with drawing as well, but I do both acrylic and oil paintings in here. When I'm doing an oil painting, I simply prime it with acrylic or gesso first. The reason for this is I don't want the oils from my oil paint to seep into the paper and ruin it. The acrylic or gesso creates a nice buffer to work on top of and protect your paper. If you take a look at this video of my sketchbook, it's relatively little warping, but there is still some warping. But this is a really inexpensive tool to use if you are looking to make a lot of artwork and you don't have the ability to buy a lot of painting surfaces. Paper is much cheaper, and especially this notebook. Another thing you can do is make an altered book. Just take any book that you have. Basically, as you go through it, you're just going to turn the pages of this book into unique art pieces. And lastly, painting over old paintings. When I was much younger, I used to go thrift shopping. I would pick up people's old canvases and repurpose them. You want to make sure that it's in good condition, that the boards on the back side of it aren't too old or warping. Aside from that, you can also paint on top of your own paintings. I have done this so many times. If I don't love a painting that I made, I will repurpose the canvas and just sand it down, paint over it. Number 6. Okay, Michael's Craft Store. They almost always have a 40% off coupon that you need to just check online for. What I didn't know and I learned from the comments on my last video is that Michael's does coupon matching. So if you're able to find a craft store that's similar to it, Hobby Lobby, AC Moore, Joann's Fabric, and they have competitive couponing, Michael's will honor that. Number 7. A great way to make sure you're using the majority of your paint colors and filling in all of your canvas space is by blocking in your picture. When I work, I tend to mix up my largest areas of color first and then work towards the smaller details coming up. This way I can just mix up the color I need once, put it down, and then move on to my next color and work my way forward in terms of detail. This also makes it a lot easier for me so I don't have to fill in the tiny little areas that go in between my detail work, which I know is very hard for some people and ends up leaving areas of your canvas exposed. If you have a background color behind all of your detail work, you're not gonna have to worry about that nearly as much. Number 8. Another great way to avoid this is toning your canvas. Just by having some color laid down on your canvas ahead of time, it gives you a good starting point. That underlying layer can work to bring out interesting tones in your painting. You can allow it to show through in areas without the piece looking totally unfinished, and it will provide interesting depth and visual history in your painting. On top of all of this, it gives you a good way to put a dent in that painting without all the pressure of that first brush stroke. A side hack on this, if you have extra paint left over after your day of painting, you can mix up those colors and use it to tone your next canvas. Take a look at some of these examples of people who used toning their canvas before they started painting. It's really pretty how the color pops through in different areas. And in fact, when they use the right color, it gives a little bit of a glow or interesting tone to their overall painting in the end. Number 9. Okay, let's say you don't want to use that leftover paint to tone your canvas. Here's a little hack for you. A great way to save it, use a Tupperware container. Take the lid, make that your palette, put your paints on top of it, and in the bowl part, put your water. That will be where you can dip your paintbrush and wash it out. After you're done, pour out the water, put your lid back onto the base, and you will have an airtight seal. Also, having a little dampness left in the Tupperware container from your water will help seal in that moisture and ensure that your paints stay more wet until your next use. If you're an oil painter and you're looking to conserve your paint, one thing I just personally do is I allow my globs of paint to just dry between uses, and then I take a palette knife and scrape out the inside and reuse that glob of paint and just get rid of the exterior that hardened overnight. Number 10. Number 10. Another super fascinating palette option is an Altoid container. If you're painting on the go, especially if you want to do some plein air or outdoor painting, take a canvas board, stick it inside of the top of the lid, and in the bottom they put their paints. It makes an awesome Instagram photo afterwards as well. On my artist mistakes video, it was super helpful seeing how many likes I got to gauge the interest on those types of videos. So if this was helpful to you at all, or if you like this content, please make sure you hit the like button and tell me what was helpful to you in the comments so that I can work to improve my channel and help you guys out more in your artistic endeavors. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can tune in every Friday for my new content, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye!